So when you're doing Aircrete domes, is that all creating the molded pieces and putting them together? Like, what's the actual structure of those?
So if you think of it more like baking a cake, it's that's closer. It's literally dishwashing liquid and water, which goes in one. You know those big blue tubs they used to have, often have horse food in. They're big blue tubs. They're quite big. You cut one of those in half. Basically, dishwashing liquid and water. A mixer to turn that into marine, and another one of those. A bag of cement and water. Turn that into a slurry. That slurry gets poured into the meringue, and you mix the two mixes together. You get your mix. Then literally you have a square frame, no different to a cake frame, but obviously, you know, probably exactly it's about 1.2 by 1.2, something like that, 4 foot by 4 foot. You pour it in. By the next morning, you can cut it up just like a cake or cheese. Just push a slice through it, cut it into bricks, and the bricks are all aerated. They're full of bubbles, so the meringue has created all the bubbles through there. And then literally within 3 days, you can build with them. So there's a commercial product that's been around for 80 years. I think it's Dutch. It's called Hebel, and it's a commercial recognized internationally that you can use that's a lightweight brick. What we're basically doing is making our own Hebel, and we're using a very a lightweight mix. So we don't use sand. So it's got a lot more R rating to it, which is what they call the insulation capacity. That's how they measure bats in the roof and things like that. So you're literally making that yourself, and then you can build with it. So in actual fact, it's not a brick how we think in a square house that carries strength and is like a traditional solid brick. Your strength is coming from the shape of the dome, the way everything locks together. And then on the outside, there's a fabric that goes over the outside, like a fiberglass mesh, and that gets kind of adhered onto the bricks through a mixture of mortar and bondcrete. And then over that, you have your acrylic render and your waterproof membrane, and then finally your painting. So you have strengthening layers that go on the outside that make it really, really strong. And then you can do those as any size and connect them up like little mushrooms, and you can just go and cut doorways and windows in after it. And this amount of cement we use is far less than what is in concrete, and of course we don't have to use any timber, we don't have to use any steel, we don't have to ship materials across the country and use fossil fuels. So it's a really good sustainable option. People are ultra green, but it still uses cement. Yeah, maybe you can use an alternative for that. We haven't found it yet. But even things like hemp, you know, they still use timber, they still use steel. They often bring it in from overseas, and yes, it's a natural product, but the cost of construction is still substantially very, very high. So we're not really competing. We tried to have an option that was more in line with giving people and young people today an option that was affordable, where anyone could do it. And I'd say 60% of the people that do our event are women, and probably women between the age of 30 and 60 who are literally traveling around and can't get a house and looking for an option and want to join a community. But the reality is it's much more fun to do it as a family or a community and support each other in doing that. And then obviously options open up from there. So there's all the different pathways now, which is good. And if you go overseas to Dome Gaia, which are the people who originated the product, they do a 10-day event. They charge about $2,200 US for that. Plus you've got to fly there, plus accommodation and food. So you're close to 10 grand. We do a weekend event and we charge $500, not for profit. Nothing goes into our pockets. And actually then we give our students an extra 8 days free to come back and practice and learn. So we end up giving them 10 days. They only pay for 2. That money goes into running our facilities and building our infrastructure. And they get 10 days training. So it's created a beautiful dome community, supporting families, young people, women, men, all different age groups, but all of a like mind. That's been the most beautiful thing. So sitting around the campfire at night time and having a glass of wine and talking about what's happening in the world and how we can have a positive impact is the most common thing.
Yeah, and that's the beautiful thing about so many of those natural building processes, that they do end up really automatically gathering a kind of tribe around them. So most of the domes I've seen have been more either molded or creating the frames and then filling the frames in with some kind of structure. So it sounds like what you're talking about is creating bricks and then basically building it like an igloo kind of structure.
Yes.
And then cutting it out
exactly
from
right.
that.
Exactly right. I mean,
beautiful.
There is some options to build straight walls, but they don't carry strength. You know, they still need a frame to support them. So there's some things we're playing with in that space. But as soon as you go square, your cost base goes up and everything goes up. I mean, tell you what, once we saw this one that was the bigger one that was done, the one that got approved through council is 90 square metres, is one big 7-metre dome, 3 smaller ones are all interconnected. It was the first time for me I walked through and go, wow, this feels beautiful, I could live here. Before that, I couldn't see it. My wife could see it because she's more visionary and on that without seeing it. But once I saw it, wow, this is amazing. But the R rating is a big thing because, as you probably know, timber, steel and concrete are cold. Like when you go into a house, that's why you have to use air conditioning, you have to use heating, you have to stick bats in the roof. The R rating, because of all the air in the bricks, like I took that friend there recently who came to visit, he's in Egypt, and it was 32 degrees outside. You step inside the dome, it's cool. In the middle of winter, it's cold outside, you step in there, it's warm. So R rating, affordability, I think would be number one. To me, R rating is number 2. 3, they don't burn. 4, cyclones. If a cyclone hits them, they go over because of the shape. 5, you put a water membrane on them as well. And the acoustic's amazing as well. So people are using it for the healing spaces. You can use it for a garden shed. You could use it for, a teenager retreat. You could use it. There's so many different options, even if you just use a little shed style or Airbnb it. There's a lot of different pathways there with it.
Well, our roof's domed in here as well.
What's that? You've got
our roofs are all domed in here. Slightly different structure though. More made with the traditional bricks, but